all you cool cats and kittens, I've already tried to film this video once outside and it was an absolute nightmare. The wind was very strong. It's way too windy for this bullshit. There was a giant spider at one point, who's made 3 talking as... Oh my god! People were walking past, my dad showed up. Hi Papa. My allergies were acting up. And at some point my camera just stopped filming and I wasn't notified. In between finishing and just giving up on the outside of the world and just coming inside, I cried. The reason why I'm still here right now is because if I don't make a video, like if I don't talk about this fucking show and I don't get validation back, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. The Tiger King documentary series came out on Netflix about a month ago and the entire internet lost their collective minds, as they should, when something that fucking insane gets published on the internet. I'm getting a degree in film. That is not going to be important in this at all. I'm not going to be like reviewing this as if I have any idea about anything. I just don't want anyone to forget that I'm in film school. This entire video is going to be disorganized, messy, and just me yelling at the camera because I have notes for the video, but they are not interconnected. They are just, whenever I had a thought and I'm like, yeah. Every now and then, the internet provides you with a TV show that starts off as good and then becomes so fucking batshit crazy that it's so crazy that it goes the entire field and it just goes back around to being good again. And that's what Tiger King is. The by title is Murder, Mayhem and Madness, and yeah. It feels like they were like, well, we need something that someone can be like, oh, that's interesting. That makes me want to watch this show. This show has so much stuff that you watch and you're like, I refuse to believe that this is real. We are following the big cat community in America because of course America has people collecting apex predators as if they're fucking house cats. Then there's the GW Zoo, which is run by Joe Exotic. His name is not Joe Exotic. I think it changes his name like maybe 3 times. Like I think his legal name is like 3 different things at 3 different points. The zoo is staffed by the exact people that you would expect to be working at a shady, privately owned zoo in God fuck knows where, Oklahoma. Then we have Big Cat Rescue down in Florida and Carol fucking Baskin. Their mission is to like save big cats and like stop the trade and breeding of big cats. They are, by the way, may or may you know what, their like sanctuary looks a bit like a zoo to me.
Carol fucking Baskin
and her Prince Charles looking ass husband have made it their life mission to take down Joe Exotic. And Joe Exotic says, I see your plot and I will race you one. I am fucking insane. Then there's this dude named Jeff Lowe he gives me the heebie-jeebies. I feel like he's involved in more stuff than he lets on. Jeff Lowe gets involved because Joe Exotic thinks that he has money, so Jeff gets involved. Turns out he doesn't have money, he just ends up stealing the zoo from Joe. And then Joe tries to hire someone to kill Carol and then he ends up in jail. Like at the end, there's just about like 3 gazillion people against Joe. Be like, get him in jail. It feels like no one was on Joe's side at the end there. No one, except his husband, which like I was kind of like, run. There's so many selling points. There's not just like, oh, it's a murder for hire plot. I made a list about some of the notable parts of this show. A gay throuple where 2 of the parts weren't even gay. They were just drug addicts looking for someone to supply them and Joe Exotic was standing waiting there with open arms. There is a definite disappearance. There might be a murder, but I cannot say that there is a definite murder because I don't want to get... I'm not going to risk getting sued. There are several different zoos that you try to keep up with, one of which, allegedly, in my opinion, is a fucking cult. Joe Exotic has country music. The music videos, A+, beautiful. Him standing on a blinking police car with like a tornado in the background is what I want played in my funeral. If I played that music for my mom, who is a country music fanatic, she would have probably asked me to like download that music to her Spotify. There's arson, where someone sets fire to the studio house and like a bunch of alligators. Why was the studio connected to the alligator part of the zoo? I don't know. Honestly, right now, that is like the last question I want to ask. There are 2 employees of Joe Exotic that are missing 1 or more limbs. One of them him losing his limbs doesn't have anything to do with the suit, but he just now has really cool prosthetics. But one guy gets his arm ripped off by a tiger or a lion or some, you know, one of those like giant animals that we should probably not be trying to fuck with. Joe Exotic just goes, I will never financially recover from this. And then he goes inside to like the guests that are at the zoo because the zoo's open. And he goes in and he's like, hey guys, I just want to be frank. One of my employees just got his arm ripped off. I can give you a rain check. And then the cherry on the cake is Joe Exotic, who dresses like a Las Vegas street magician. Joe Exotic runs for governor. He doesn't win, surprise, surprise, but he then starts talking about like, oh, maybe I should run for president. I'm going to let you know right now, Joe, that yes, you should. There are 1,000,001 documentaries about like a possible murder or a murder for hire or just weird things happening. What makes this show, probably the show of the fucking century, is the characters. Because every time a new person was shown on screen, I'm like, get a hold of this fucking dude. Who are you? What kind of fuckery are you bringing to the table? There is a drug lord from Miami that is like a tiny part of this, who like on cameras basically like admitted to being involved in murder, but he's like, well, I was in the room when they killed him and chopped him up. The dude from Miami who on camera said that he was standing in the room when someone got, like an FBI informant got murdered, in comparison, is one of the more normal people. Jeff Lowe, it feels like a 16-year-old, like really horny 16-year-old, morphed into like this like 56-year-old's body, and he's like, I can do whatever I want, and he does. He does do whatever he wants, and it creeps me the fuck out. When he talks about his nanny at the end there, I'm like, yeah, no, I feel like someone should check your basement. I googled Joe Exotic, and apparently Donald Trump has been like contemplating getting Joe Exotic out of prison. I don't know if Joe Exotic should be out of prison as much as several other people from this documentary should be in prison with him. Especially the dude that is running, in my opinion, allegedly, a cult. Like a straight up, like, listen to this name. Mahamayavi Bhagawan Doc Kevin Antle. Tell me that doesn't sound like someone that is just waiting to become the next Jim Jones. When you first meet Doc Antle, you're like, oh, this dude is kind of funny and weird. Like, he runs a zoo that kind of looks like it's a lot better. But then he starts like directing the director, and I'm like, oh, okay. You have control issues, and then you realize that the zoo is a cult, and we have like a girl that left, and she's like, oh well, they like I got breast implants because if I got breast implants, then at least I would have been given time so that I could like sleep and rest and heal. And I'm like, this is, why are we not talking about this? Now I would just like to go through some notes that I made. They are not important. They are not connected to each other. They don't, nothing here is anything, but I need to talk about it. As someone that has made 3 documentaries and is obviously an expert on the topic, if I found all of these people and they were all willing to be in a documentary of mine, I think I would have thrown a fucking party. I am so happy for the director, but at the same time, I feel so sorry for him because he obviously went into this and he's like, I'm going to make a documentary about like the big cat community. And then he gets involved in like murder for hire and like the disappearance of a millionaire. He obviously went in with the script and then a lot of fuckery ensued. The reality show director, niece and campaign advisor were the only people that were like directly involved in things that were happening that looked like they escaped with like some sort of sanity left. Everyone involved in this is some level of crazy, but like looking into the campaign advisor's eyes, you're like, you've been through some stuff. Also, the lawyer, like our Carol Baskin's husband, millionaire husband, disappeared. Right before he disappeared, he like changed his will so that she would like inherit everything. He changes his will from like in case I die. It basically says like in case I disappear, and then he's gone. The director asks like, have you ever heard anyone change their will to say in the case of my disappearance? And the lawyer just goes, no, that's the first one. The thing that actually like made me watch this show was a screenshot that I saw on Twitter of Jeff Lowe in his fucking bathtub getting interviewed.
I cannot believe that what I based my entire existence on for the past week has been a lie. It wasn't Jeff Lowe in the bathtub. It was the dude that Joe Exotic tried to get to murder Carol Baskin. He's the one from the bathtub, not Jeff. Doesn't make it any better, but I feel like my life has been a lie, and like I did that to myself.
He was in his bathtub. You have so many places where you can put a human being to get interviewed. Kitchen table, couch, maybe even their bed. Put them in the garden. The bathtub? Not somewhere where I would recommend doing an interview. When I saw that picture on Twitter, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm giving this a chance. There's no way I am ending this self-isolation period not having watched Tiger King. One of the employees at one of the zoos talks about how like him working at the zoo and like being involved in all of this fuckery was taking a toll on his marriage of like 30 years or something. And then he goes, so I divorced my wife. Problem solved. I divorced my wife because she didn't like the fact that I was working at a zoo where like we were breeding cubs, and like, let's not be dumb. Like they killed the cubs when they weren't cubs anymore, you know, when they weren't cute and pettable anymore. The intro that they show, like the intro to the reality show that was filmed of like Tiger King with like the cape and the throne and the tiger and the fucking shadow of the drone flying over, filming. Art, magical, beautiful. In addition to the music video, I also want that played in my funeral. Joe Exotic's live show, live streaming every single day to like, I don't know, like maybe, oh my god. Joe Exotic made content for like maybe 150 people to watch. That is what I'm doing. Oh, that was a terrible realization. Can I just say, I feel like, cause I mean, he ends up in jail for like hiring someone to kill Carol fucking Baskin. I feel like if he hadn't been so loud about wanting Carol dead and like shooting a blow up doll dressed as her on his live TV show. I feel like maybe they would have less of a leg to stand on, but they could literally just search up like joeexotictv.com and there's just so much like of him just going, I want her dead, I'm gonna kill you. Like he did not plead his own case very well. And the one thing that like really kept the suspense in this show was Joe's eyebrow piercing. There's no way we are ending this with him still having it, because that piercing was holding on by sheer force of will. It's almost impressive that no tiger has been able to get his claws into that and just rip it the fuck out of his dumb looking face. That was my very well thought out review. The end all be all of this video is just like, watch it. Just watch it. For you and for me. If you've seen it, leave your thoughts. If you haven't seen it, leave your thoughts. Like from what I have explained to you, leave your thoughts. If I didn't talk about this, I think I might explode. Here Kitty Kitty would have just been playing on loop inside of my head. Thank you for coming to my channel and watching this video. If you want to see more, you can subscribe, and if you don't, that's fine. After this, I don't know if I would have wanted to see more of my face either. Goodbye all you cool cats and kittens.